so much. Thank you for joining in this contemplation, a 3-step contemplation. And this is one way to do it, of course. So it's like good to discover, but let all this happen in silence, really. Like not really trying to figure it out or anything, no. Just in quiet, let things fall into place, let it come to you. So I love that about this. And see, it's like a succession of spontaneous occurrences. That's obvious too. It's like, yeah, there's not really a plan that I'm working out here. No, I use what is given to me and let that speak. And this is what you do too in this inspirational process. But there certainly is a plan, and it's working perfectly. I count on that. But it's an adventure. It's still like it's a great adventure. It's still, yeah, exploration, as we call it. It's an exploration, a discovery. Yeah, so really great. Now, because things change, I want to bring up the syllabus. So here's part 3, InSpirit Art Project. Okay, well, that's what we saw already. Into the deep. That's what I call this. It's like the projects below that you could choose from, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in right now. The projects below are not meant to be 1-week projects with a presentable end or result. This is for a longer period, a deeper exploration, and not necessarily coming to a result. Every week we present discoveries and insights during the process that we have received. And here are some considerations to give even more depth to your project and discoveries. It's like, what is it exactly that attracts me to what I see, to this phenomena? How do I relate to it? What does it do with me? And that in itself is a discovery. Now, how can I express that discovery? So it's like a deeper layer. It's not so much about the form coming to a video or a photo or whatever, a painting, but more like, no, let's go down below. We're going to look at why is it attracting me, what is actually resonating with me in that sense. And is there, who knows, a new way to express that? Maybe I can express this in a totally different way than I've ever done before. Maybe not a video at all. Maybe not this, maybe not that. Or maybe something that just came to me. And I'll give you an example in a moment. So here are the projects. You saw those, you read those, and you found one. Let me see if I got my... Oh yeah, here. The other project that came in was the museum visit. And use your visit to an exhibition or museum as a possibility to explore your new way of looking at art or at anything, of course, with your new vision. What is it that pulled you to the museum? What unexpected discovery did you make? Whether it has to do with art or the museum or not at all. Make a short slideshow or series of photos to give an impression of the place and your discoveries. Compare 2 artworks, for instance, as an idea to discover how different the artists look at things. Try to discover your focus, what attracts you, what resonates, and why is this the point? Why is this so? And give expression to your discoveries in a surprising way, and in the sense of surprising yourself in what you're actually doing. Now, this sounds really good to me. So now we're going to do a couple of things. So I got my museum visit that I love to share with you. my discovery in the museum, because it was something totally different than I could possibly have imagined. Then we have a really sweet artist impression, absolutely beautiful, that we're going to take a look at. Then, of course, there are your expressions of your process. And then there are some expressions regarding inspiration. So I got to see what's best at a certain point. Like, maybe start with... See, the thing I want to prevent is coming to a lot of more text, more words, more this, more that. It's like, no, we can really do this in an experiential way altogether, which would be inspiring to me and great. So I'm going to chop things up. In a sense, I'm going to share with you one expression about inspiration. Here's one expression of inspiration from chapter 5 in the Course in Miracles. Oops. The Holy Spirit, the shared inspiration of all the sonship, induces a kind of perception in which many elements are like those in the kingdom of heaven itself. The Holy Spirit. Let's see if I can quickly translate that. Wow, no, I cannot do that. The Holy Spirit, the shared inspiration of all the sonship, induces a kind of perception in which many elements are like those in the kingdom of heaven itself. So this is exactly the thing that we're like practicing here. That's why I put it up. It's like the Holy Spirit, the shared inspiration of all the sonship, induces a kind of perception. It's a new way of looking at everything, in which many elements are like those in the kingdom of heaven itself. So it doesn't have to do with form, it doesn't have to do with time, it doesn't have to do with all the definitions that we think makes art so important. No, this has to do with something else. And that's the discovery. It's like it is... Many elements are like those in the kingdom of heaven itself. So that's really sweet. I thought it was such a lovely expression. That's why I wanted it in here. Yeah. Now this is the inspiration to look and to see. And this is, you could say, if art or if any self-expression is inspiring, then that part must be in there. Otherwise, Otherwise, it is not inspired. So, in other words, then it would not make sense. It would only be made for form, or it would only be made to express a concept or a human idea. But if it goes beyond that, into the fine arts, literally, like the fine arts, celestial arts, you could say, of looking at everything in a completely different way, by letting it tell you what it is instead of you telling it what it is, or by being aware of such way of thinking that is new and inspiring, and it brings joy. It brings joy, like it's new, it's new energy, it's fresh energy given to you just by letting it happen in a different way. Now this fits really well with the one that I like to introduce to you. It is someone who has been painting for a very long time, but
every day for 20 years, I would say, what am I going to do next? That's how I ask for inspiration. I don't have any ideas myself. I have a vacant mind, you know, in order to do exactly what the inspiration calls for.
She would sit in her rocking chair until the idea came into her head, and she called this inspiration, the sort of presentation seemingly automatically of the image fully formed in her head. It appeared in her head at a very small scale, like a little postage stamp. So then when you look at her notebooks, you see how she draws the postage stamp sized picture and then does complicated mathematics to scale it up to meet the self-defined limitations of her canvas.
I was sitting waiting for inspiration about innocence. And into my mind there came a grid, and the lines going this way and lines going that way. And they were innocent. They looked like innocence.
And Martin said a wonderful thing once when people questioned the paintings and what are these paintings? And she said, from music, people accept pure emotion, but from art, they demand explanation. Well, these paintings are pure emotion. They are paintings of states of existence, innocence, happiness, the sublime.
And we have a tremendous range of abstract feelings, but we don't pay any attention to them.
My granddaughter was about 11 years old, and she was in Agnes's apartment, and there was a rose in a vase, and she was mesmerized by the rose, and Agnes saw that and picked up the rose and said, "Is this rose beautiful, Isabel?" And Isabel said, "Yes, this rose is beautiful." And then Martin put the rose behind her back, and she said to Isabel, "Is the rose still beautiful?" And Isabel said, "Yes, the rose is still beautiful." And she said, "You see, the beauty is not in the rose. The beauty is in your mind."
I painted for 20 years, and I didn't like the paintings. They weren't what I wanted. I wanted really abstract, without any cause in this world, you know. And so every day I painted, I got closer and closer to abstract painting, but it took me 20 years. Had trouble, that one.
I think we tend to associate Agnes Martin with the grid, but she wasn't born a fully fledged abstract painter, and she went through 2 decades of really incredibly intense experimentation to achieve that moment of perfection.
She was a painter with a long life who painted every single day and edited out all of the work she didn't like. So if there was a composition that she achieved, and then if it wasn't quite right, she would destroy the picture with a matte knife. She'd cut up her paintings, and she'd paint that painting again. And she could paint that painting 10 times and destroy 9 of them. So Martin was the greatest editor of work, I think, of any artist probably who ever lived.
I think about nothing but painting. And the older I get, the more I like to paint. You know, it grows on you. Just imagine, I'm 88, so it's been growing for quite a while.
Have to sit down.
Looking at these grids and repetitive lines and passages of pale color, think of them as much as a mantra, as a visual experience. And the repetition is like the repetition of the sound. And Martin has felt that the painting is a kind of map, and it's a map to your inner responses, whether it be joy or happiness or that it makes you calm. That's the work of art. That her painting is a key to the art within you.
So now you see. Now you see why I wanted to share this with you. I discovered her today. I never heard of her. So this is like what I mean with the spontaneousness of this. Like, it's beautiful to see an example that is given, which does what we do, so to speak. In our InSpirit, it is like, yes, here is that. Here's an example of that. Here's someone who practices this. And all quiet, and all, letting it come to you, not forcing it, not making anything, no, literally letting yourself be directed, and see what happens, and opening up silence and an intensity and a beauty in a whole different way, but very much like in her own way. Like, still she was just herself in expressing it. And I think that's very inspiring to see that too. So you just never know with how that will flow through you. Like, you have an idea in your mind of what you want to make, or you have an idea that should look like this. Well, this is exactly the thing that's in the way. And we know this, of course, from intuitive painting or whatever courses you might have done. But it's like here, now you see, no, you burn down to the ground before you do anything. Now what is coming, what is flowing through you? And this practice is really pretty, beautiful as meditation. So that's really lovely. So that's why I loved to show something that she made specifically also for this idea, like beauty is in the mind. The rose, first, the rose is beautiful, but if the rose is behind you, the rose is still beautiful. Now, where is that rose? It's like a koan. It's incredible. Like, wow, that's beautiful. Where's the beauty? In your mind, not anywhere else. So this is truly a gift. This is how I received that. It's like truly a gift to see what is possible, and how this silence speaks so much, and opens in a whole different way, but in a way that your heart opens too, and you're touched by what you see or hear. This was a spontaneous occurrence too. Like one of us went to the museum, and I had like, oh yeah, I'm inspired to go to the museum too. Let's also immediately make a project of it, just to see what happens when you do that, and to give an example of how that could look. But you can't put that really in a program. So it's like, how can you cannot formulate a discovery, but you can be part of it. So that's what I invite you to do. It's like I give an impression of a visit, but then also immediately you're total part of the discovery that I made, that completely spontaneously occurred. The museum. Subtitles. No, there's no voice in it. Oh well, there is a voice in it anyway. So yeah, the discovery was, it was a museum somewhere in Germany, and the museum was like a terrain with all kinds of pavilions, but then some of the pavilions were acoustic spaces. It looks like a normal building, like a house almost, but nothing happens when you walk through it. But when you start to make noise or sing, like I did, when you start to make noise and sing, you have like a reverb of probably 5 to 8 seconds. Oh, that's a lot of fun. So I played and I sang and I screamed and I yelled and I did all kinds of things. Really great. So that's why this was like unexpected, and you wouldn't discover it if you wouldn't make noise, if you wouldn't try like to discover the space. You would not hear anything. You would say like, well, it's empty. Probably the paintings have been gone. And like, no, 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 no. This is an acoustic space. So you walk in it, you make a noise, you start to sing, and you hear endlessly, like there seems to be no ceiling on the building, but you can echo straight into heaven. Now, that was really great. I loved it. So that was a discovery. And now this is how this could look. I mean, you don't have to make videos like this or do anything like this. It's more, if there's always something that you didn't come for, but what is actually a great discovery, or where you stand still. Like it's not set in stone what you're going to discover, no matter where you go. And the museum is also part of that. So to let things speak to you doesn't probably have nothing to do with the museum at all in the first place, but really with your open state of mind, and see that everything is possible through that. Now that's really great. This is how you can walk around all day long, of course. It's not limited to musea, but this was just an opportunity.
Art is a state of being. You are born with the capacity to integrate your energy into objects, to create objects that never existed before. They can enlarge the knowledge of man about his planet, about his environment, about his problems.
Magdalena Abakanowic is one of the most well-known Polish artists of the 20th century. From the mid-1960s or late 1960s, she started to make what we now refer to as abakans, as being these really large, big-scale pieces that could almost enfold you, that you could walk inside, that are like cocoons or coats or tents, or a kind of habitat that you could curl up inside. The critics at the time didn't really know what to make of this new form of weaving, of tapestry making. They didn't know what they were looking at. Was this sculpture? Was this painting? Was this weaving? Was it tapestry? And so they coined the term abakans to talk about her work, because it seemed to kind of defy all other categorization. She originally trained in painting, with weaving as an option, at the Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. She found quite quickly, after graduating, that she wanted to use textile as a way to express ideas and concepts and energy and emotion, not really just as something to be used or something functional within the home. So for her, fibre and textiles became a sculptural medium. And she was really drawn to using things like horsehair, as well as animal fibres like wool and cotton and other plant fibres. She said, we are all fibrous structures. She was very interested in the relationship between fibre and the body, and fibre and the world that we live in.
It's still interesting to watch the whole thing, so maybe you have already done that, because it's available in the syllabus. What I like to emphasize is this: is like, it's not that we are setting up ourselves for a 20-year career in art, but the one thing that you can take out of what I've shared is this: is that there's a depth to the expressions that are shared that is, to me, very inspiring, because it comes really close to you in how you are present and how you are expressing yourself. It's like there's no coincidence in what attracts you in visual sense, and what you feel, and how you think about yourself, how you're trying to express yourself, like this attempt to come to self-expression in a deep sense, like what is really part of that for you is helping you to express that what you cannot put in words, but what you're really like driven to do. Now this is in fact what you hear all the artists say too. Like it's not by accident art, and like it's an art, it's a way of expression that has nothing to do or everything to do with words. It depends on how you look at it. It has nothing to do with words in the sense you first come to an almost like an organic expression of yourself in form, in color, in smell, in movement, in however that's going to look. Now that is an essential part of it, but it needs this depth in order to connect with a part in yourself that you want to let come to the surface and express itself. And that does not mean that it has to be past related, no, but it's more like now finally I'm allowing myself to express this from deeply within myself. I'm not afraid to expose that. And that's what you see all the artists do in a certain sense, and on different levels or different ways, of course. But you see, it's like it's all emotion connected. It's all about feelings, deep feelings that they have, inexpressible in words or abstract in a way that would never be describable in form, but still really there. Now that is to me very inspiring to look at it this way, but it's also like beautiful to see that you now in this InSpirit project of these meetings, you have a chance to get in touch with that by specific direction, by inspiring examples, by feeling the freedom to let that occur. Now that's a real gift, I can tell you that. It's like that's a real gift, that's really beautiful. So any attempt in that direction is of course totally appreciated. So I'm still introducing, in fact, that's where this comes down to, and I'll keep doing that until I find rest. Anyway, so we're going to the place of self-expression of the things that you send in, and I see these as investigations, like you're investigating what is the thing that you want to dive into. So I see them as temporary, like introductions to the next step, which is going even more in depth and might take a little bit more than just coming to your weekly video or something. Like, no, this is a process. Now you're going to step into that, and you're not sure what is going to happen, but you want to discover something, and that will lead you to, that will inspire you for the next moves and acts. So from one thing comes the other. So I started to make some pictures, for instance, just as an example, from a leaf that was completely, in fact, digested, except the fibers were still there. Now that I started to make pictures of. Well, I can present a picture, sure. But then I suddenly came to me to make a print of it, some kind of way. But then make a lino cut first and use ink to express it. And like one thing came the other. And not that it needs to go like this, but this is just an example. It's like one thing leads to the other. So it is really about the process that you're going through more than the result, where it's leading to. It's more like how willing are you to let yourself be guided by what is happening, what intuitions you get, and all this. And that's fascinating to see that.